Welcome to the Racing Revolution League, sponsored by Chapman Environmental Services. Thank you for joining us here at 10-4 Broadcasting, sponsored by Admin Box. Tonight, we will have another tough track on the schedule for these drivers. 2.5 miles, located in Pennsylvania, first built in 1969, finished and opened for business in 1971. This track is none other than Pocono. This tricky triangle is a nightmare for drivers, crew chiefs, engineers, trying to find a way to set up these cars. With 5 sets of tires and over 100-degree track temp, this race will definitely put the mind and soul of these teams to the test. This is Patrick Morrison. Joining me is Kynan Jones, and at this time we would like to thank Daryl Johnson for sponsoring this race. Kynan, Robert Rader has won the last 5 races. He has a bounty on him for the rest of the season. Do you think he has a chance for the 6th run?
Well, it's a bit early to say. In practice and qualifying, he hasn't been able to top the standings. We've seen the likes of Loveland and even Redditch just being able to ink out in qualifying. So right now he's on the back foot, but we've seen it in the race in this entire season. He's been able to just get every bit of speed throughout the entire race, and if he can do that again tonight, I'd say he is in for a good shot at getting 6 in a row.
Yeah, and then Robert Rader obviously leads in the points race, followed by Trevor Earhart, James Loveland, Nick Alves, and Kevin Orlando, with Grant Thorpe tied in 5th place. Fortunately for the rest of these drivers, if they can beat Robert Rader, the bounty actually consists of a drawing for all the winners who are racing with him, that if they do beat him, they will enter a drawing by the end of the season here for a free paint scheme. So I know as I'm racing, and you as well, Kynan, those paint schemes, they can get pricey, and being able how to choose what paint scheme you would like, is really a great thing to have, because sometimes those things can range somewhere between $15 and $60 all at that time.
Yeah, having a very nice looking paint scheme, it can, even if it doesn't actually give you an extra couple horsepower, it can do a lot. And just if you look good on track, often you can also be quick on track. So just having a fast car and a fast looking car, and if you just win, that's a pretty good bonus.
Yeah, and you got to admit, even having, it looking fast doesn't mean you're fast. But right now, in the lead, we do have James Loveland went ahead and took the pole tonight with Teddy Rekich, and Robert Rader is actually going to be starting 3rd. So really an odd way to see this one start up here, Kynan, is how these guys got lined up. Really is unusual. You see these guys really up, the ones that are in the front here, as we see. It looks like Kevin Orlando placed 4th, Earhart 5th, Nick Alves in 6th. Right there, and we got Grant Thorpe 7th, Parker Johnson 8th, Justin Murphy in the 9th position. Looks like we got Blake Cook 10th, Jacob Sirkovich. We haven't seen him. I think he skipped out on the Watkins Glen run for that one. It looks like Logan Romney. I don't think I've seen him since Dover. I think I saw him at Dover. I'm not sure. With Brandon Richardson, glad to see him out here. David Stanfield and Adam Bowden there, with Michael Bennett in the 16th position. So I'm looking to see if any of these other guys are looking to come out and place here tonight. I am not sure if Tay McDonald, Scott Negus, or Daryl Johnson, if any of these guys qualified yet. So we'll have to see if they decide to line up and get ready to race this thing, because I know these guys are bound up and ready to go.
50 laps, it's going to be a long race, so even if you messed up your qualifying and you're a little bit further back, that some drivers may be right now, but if they can just play the long game, maybe if there's a wreck, they might be able to survive and claw their way up, so don't count out any drivers just yet.
Yeah, as we get these guys pulling off pit road here, and they're going ahead and working their way around. With this being such a long track of 2.5 miles, the pace car speed, I believe, is 75 miles an hour. So you gotta figure, running, as fast as you do here, upwards of, over 160 to 190 miles an hour you can get on this track, depending on, how you and your crew chief set up. It's difficult here to kind of pick your speed when your pace car is at 75, your pit road speed is 55. So you're going to see these guys really have to lock down those brakes to be able to slide in and not get a speeding penalty getting through here. But kind of this, to me, I'm really excited to see what these 50 laps have to offer. I mean, each turn is different. You're going to see turn 1 has heavy banking. I mean, it's almost straight up and down. Then you've got turn 2, which is almost your crossover. It's probably got about half the banking and half the turn. And then we get to turn 3, and it's flat. There's no banking, and then it's such a long, sweeping left turn, really, as you see them coming around turn 3 here, is it's just so flat. There's almost hardly any banking, and then them shoot down this front stretch. So you're going to see a lot of speed, and really, some guys are going to have power in some turns, and some are going to have power in other, and it's really going to be how they can get across the line here. But right now, James Loveland lining up kind of for the first run. He has the 00. Ooh, got to be careful on how he took off on that one if he crossed that line, but race control will let us know. But at this point in time, we're under green flag. Kynan, this is looking good, man.
So far, they've been able to keep it clean, but going into the steepest corner on the racetrack, Loveland being able to hold enough momentum through the inside. Redditch going to look back to the inside, trying to go into turn 2.
Yeah, and we did kind of take a peek at Robert Rader during practice, and I noticed on one of these turns he has a real difficult time staying hooked to the track. He was able to drive through as normal, you know, with everybody else, but he kind of fades up the track really, really fast, and I'm not sure. I think it was turn 3 we were seeing most of that happening, where some of these guys were getting loose and getting turned around, but it looks like he might be doing pretty good right there. So everything's looking great. As you can see, these guys are really starting to get single file here all the way back there with Grant Thorpe. He's hanging back there. Justice Murphy following right behind as well, and that's really starting to kind of round out your top pack here, as Justice Murphy's doing everything he can to stay in that draft. But look at that kind, and you kind of see how these guys are really spreading apart for the front half of this race. These guys up in the front, but then down the backstretch, we're single file again.
It's a very dynamic track on where you put your car, but there's also corners where you need to be single file, so they don't call it the tricky triangle for nothing.
Ah, yes. And some call it even the Bermuda Triangle, man, because you're sometimes lost out here. You're trying to get turn 1 down, but it messes up your turn 3. So, we're right there. Remember we talked about before him fading up. As right there, it looks like the 27, Kevin Orlando, gets a little bit of the rear bumper of Robert Rader there, and I think those two are going to have some words after that one.
Still piling in.
Oh, man, how many got involved in that one? The Bowden got nailed in that one, as we're going to go ahead and work up that 10-4 replay there and see how that one unfolded once again. We obviously saw how Robert Rader kind of faded up into him, and then it just kind of piled from there. As we get to the caution replay here, let's go ahead and take a quick look. Clip him there, and then it just kind of piles up. Keeps getting worse.
Maybe an open track, but just with cars spinning left and right, then bouncing off the wall, suddenly gaps that you thought were there suddenly all close in.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of drivers could do.
Yeah, and even Nick Alves, he's down pit road. He got spun up so bad. But you see how kind of communication with your spotter. These guys have got to check up. I mean, you see 3 or 4 cars. The caution is going to be thrown. You will retain your position. You're not really going to gain anything by continuing to bowl through. As you can see, Bowden there, he's folded around. And it looks like Nick Alves, yeah, he's down pit road there. That's going to be detrimental for him. So really, I have to see where some of these guys, I do not believe there's a fast repair tonight. So this is going to be absolutely detrimental to a lot of these drivers out here of what happens with the rest of the race. I think a few apologies will be out there for Robert Rader kind of flowing up that track. I don't know if maybe he didn't see him there or what exactly happened there. But really, this would be a great time to even mention, you know, with Nick Alves heading down there, is having one of those admin boxes. We've talked about them before, always talk about them. Great piece of equipment to have. As you saw how Nick Alves, he unfortunately was sliding down pit road. He will be black flagged for that, heading down at that kind of speed. The admin is going to have to kind of drive out here and figure out how to get rid of that black flag. And really, Admin Box is able to get away with that and come up with a quick button that you can click and go ahead and wave that black flag. So that way Nick Alves doesn't, he doesn't completely lose everything here, and he's able to get back on the track. And another sponsor of the Racing Revolution League is Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Great set of systems. I have one on my racing rig, and really it gives you another concept of the car. Is when you start hitting those rumble strips, man, it vibrates the seat, it shakes the wheel, and it puts you more in depth with the game. So Butt Kicker, if you know, you know, but if you don't, check them out. But yeah, Kynan, really right here, this is going to be, we see a lot of guys down pit road here. Grant Thorpe may be bent all out of shape, and I don't know how many guys are going to take this back to the garage.
From my count, 11 cars were involved in that wreck. It was quite chaotic, and especially in a 50-lap race. We may have dropped a bunch of corners from Watkins Glen last week, but the difficulty is just as high, if not even higher, with not as much runoff.
Yeah, and seeing another one of these drivers out here with names like Tay McDonald here. Haven't seen that driver out here before, and then you just kind of get folded up there. The 83 kind of revving up there from Bowden. I don't know if having a little something there. It's a good way to blow the motor. You got to be careful of that one. But oh man, just this is some trouble here, as we're gonna kind of take a look at the who's left on the track after that one. Normally, this is the kind of wreck that you see at Talladega.
Surprisingly, we've had it, but this is one of the difficulties you get on a track like this, especially early on in a race. When the field is so grouped up together, all it takes is one small little mishap, and suddenly it can involve the entire field.
Yeah, and really, we're kind of taking a look here at how many are left. I mean, you have Daryl Johnson that may have been back there in the last place, up here in 8th. Sirkovich, we see up here in, I believe, in the 6th or 7th, yeah, in the 6th position. Richardson, was in the backfield back there, and is now up here in 5th. So really, this is taken the back half of the field and sliced it to all to pieces. As we take a little look at that 31 car again, man, he's looking pretty good with those 10-4 colors.
Right now, it's 9th on back have damage in some capacity, so a lot of cars involved. So if you did mess up qualifying, and that may have put you in the wreck, but at the same time, if you were able to stay out of the wreck, you've just been given a lot of positions, such as the 93 of Daryl Johnson, up 11 positions from where he started, currently running in the 8th position.
Wow, yeah, really, this hurts for a lot of drivers. I believe Kevin Orlando, I think he might have just made it out of pit, and he's the one who caught most of the brunt of that damage. So we'll take a look at his car as he's going around here. Definitely the back end's folded up there pretty bad, but he has got to hurry because they are about to be back under green flags. It looks like they're wrapping around turn 3, so he's got to put the pedal to the metal to catch up. So we'll keep an eye out. Looks like the pace car is about to duck off, and Ted Rekich, James Loveland up there in the front row as they get going. Green flag with the restart zone. Here we go. Looks like Trevor Earhart going to go ahead and give him a little push. So really, the top 4 seems to be unchanged and unfazed by that wreck. But it looks like, man, some of these cars here in the back, just with the amount of damage, they're just not going to be able to hang for the rest of this race. And really, we haven't made it 5th of the way through here at Kynan, and this is going to be absolutely backbreaking for some of these guys to really finish this one up.
Yeah, there's going to be issues where some drivers just want the night to end, but if they decide to stick in, maybe claw up a couple of extra positions from maybe some more wrecks happening later on in the race and then not being able to finish. So, yeah, they're probably not going to be able to win now, but you can still gain some sort of points.
Yeah, and this is just, it's just, I can't say much more about it, other than what it is. It's just, it's a stinky way for it to start there at the beginning. But we take a look here. Justice Murphy, able to go out there and throw out, for the Titleist car he's running there, but not much of his front end is left, as he's, it looks like hood and fenders and the bumper are missing. So he's nicks the fenders. Sorry, the fenders are there, but he is going to have one heck of a time, but he's still running the 14th position, 2 laps down. So really, everybody on the lead lap is 13 and up. But we're going to rotate our way back to the front of this with Loveland. Looks like he is...
He pulled in last lap. I believe he must have gone stop-go penalty. So that's just an assumption, but that's going to be very detrimental to his chances of winning. It may not be completely done yet, but if we stay green for the entire race, he's all but out of this running now. It's not what he needed.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about Robert Rader here. I know we talk about him a whole lot during this race, and you know, really, this is just kind of lining him up for another chance here. Stellar Stella out there, one of our frequent viewers out there, saying, "Wow, that didn't take long." Yeah, in a sense. I mean, that was only about 3 laps in, and just some cars got folded up. I just hate that I mentioned something about Robert Rader fading up the track. And that kind of seems to be what happened as he kind of got up into Kevin Orlando there, and you know, it just ruined a lot of guys' nights. I think the only thing that may have assisted in it is if a little communication between the drivers. You know, when Kevin Orlando kind of hit the wall and spun out, if these guys had kind of talked back and forth saying wrecking, you know, check up. I know that's what we've done. I've done in multiple leagues. If something bad happens, check up. I mean, last thing you want to do is take out the rest of the field. Or at least let everybody know. Everybody kind of hit the brakes, slow down, and it's not worth shooting around. This isn't the the old school style where it was race to the finish line here. But it's just unfortunate for a lot of these drivers out here. But right now, Robert Rader there only 2/10 behind Ted Rekich. So we've seen this before. I think these two were battling it out at Dover, I believe. And these two kind of were out front. Ted had a fast car, but Robert Rader said he just kind of hung in the back, kind of waited for him to burn his tires out and go ahead and take over. But we talked to Robert Rader in the post-race interview there, Kynan, and he discussed it. He has zero faith at him winning this race, but we'll have to see, as obviously his race line is working for him so far.
Yeah, Loveland, with having that issue, has dropped him back, but Wreckage seems to have just burnt his tires up. Rader just saving what bit of rubber that he can be able to do, just a couple attempts here and there through the corners, and then you can see it coming back as he's going to be looking to the inside of Wreckage, coming on to the second of the 3 straights.
Yeah, and really, it's still a bummer for that wreck, but if you think that one's bad, next week we are looking at Talladega, the Do It for Dale 212. That'll be 80 laps at Talladega, and if you think that was a big wreck, normally you wait till those guys get about 3 wide for 2 or 3 rows back, and then it's that those are the big ones. And that one, I hope they may or may not decide. I hope they do, to go ahead and have one fast repair, because all it takes is just one slip up from somebody in the draft and it not work out, and it just it fold half the field. Once you get up over 180 to 200 miles an hour, there's not really any room for error, and if something bad happens, there is no correction point. So, but man, really, these guys kind of getting going around here. I believe they're coming up on Grant Thorpe there for some lap traffic here, so we'll have to see how these guys kind of negotiate around him. Yep, as it goes ahead and looks like Grant Thorpe takes the low line there and goes ahead and bows out of the way. Great move, real veteran status. Some guys go ahead and they try to block or cause problems, and it's just it's not worth it. I mean, yeah, I understand maybe your race may be kind of thrown away at this point, but we have broken over the 1/5 point. We are on lap 11. Really, right. This seems to be the race of Wreckage, Rader, and Earhart up here in the front. They're all about half a second from each other, and this is going to be quite a battle here to the end. But we definitely have a lot of pit stops to go. They are running only about 75% fuel capacity, so they will be required to make a pit stop. As you can see, Robert Rader with a fast dive there on the inside. Ted not happy about that. Going to give him a little nudge there, let him know, man. A quick little cutoff there. It looks like he had to check up a little bit, but Wreckage not taking that from him at all. But he's now going to have to take it from Trevor Earhart, that's looking toward the inside, and is going to have to be careful. Ooh, as they cross them up, man. They're right there as they make contact. 13 is around. Lock it down. Oh, no. Don't hit the wall. Don't hit the wall. Oh, man. It looks like he just made it. Oh, he just barely. He just barely missed the wall. Holy cow, Kynan.
It's about that time that you're glad that you have brakes.
Holy cow, the amount of skid time he had getting into that one is we are going to go roll that back for a 10-4 replay as we're going to look back at when he made the pass and then how he got around and got around that. Right here makes a great move there. Let's see how it looks. Going to the inside, right? Crosses him. Oh, and 13 checks up just a little bit to aim for the turn, but Rekic had the line. And watch right here as he almost hits the wall. Oh, man. And talk about that. Only damage he has is maybe some flat spotting in those tires. But boy, did he have a heck of a slide there. As you can see the streaks all the way from our 10-4 guy all the way to the wall there. So, man, wow. Wow. That was that was close there, Kynan. I don't know how much closer he could have gotten with that one.
It's probably a little bit too close for Earhart's liking, but luckily didn't pick up any more damage, but Loveland is going to love seeing that caution come out.
Wow. Yeah, that was close, man. I don't know how much about that one, but man, this would be a great time. Let's go ahead and throw out a little shout out there for Chapman Environmental Services that is sponsoring this entire league, and especially Robert Rader, who's doing a heck of a job up front, you know, in that 53 machine. And really, he's now up there in the lead. To be assumed, you know, it's how he goes, but it looks like he might go ahead and come down pit road here. Oh, quick brake check, easy. But like I said, a shout out for Chapman Environmental Services, proudly offering a broad spectrum of regulatory compliance, permitting, field sampling services, and more. Visit ChapmanES.com. That is ChapmanES.com. So really, this, you know, they gotta love seeing they're one of their drivers out front here. But what they don't like seeing is Nick Alves there in the 24. Him as well. You know, he's another one sponsored by Chapman Environmental Services, and he is in pit for a long time. So he may have gotten some serious amount of damage during that that first spin out there. But it looks like quick tire change. Robert Rader going ahead and splashing some fuel and back out. So really quick pit stop there as he's back out in front and no questions asked. But I believe this should give one of our drivers a lucky dog. I'm trying to figure out who. I don't think it was Justice Murphy who got it, but who ended up with the drive-through? Was it Loveland who ended up with the drive-through? And yeah, it shows him right now. He's back on the lead lap, but we'll have to keep an eye on that, seeing he's coming down pit road now. And see if he gets another shake at this race as we are coming up on lap 15 here in a little bit. Out of 50 here. And really, this is starting to become quite a heated race up here. Kynan, really, how these guys are able to get their way back around, as it looks like Grant Thorpe stayed out there. And he may get the wave around as well. I don't know how iRacing decides to do it this time, but they may either have him kind of stay the inside line and drop to the back of the pack, or he may have to race around this the entire track. What he is kind of sacrificing at this point is Grant Thorpe pit on lap 5 after the obvious damage there, along with Justice Murphy. These guys pit earlier, and yeah, looks like they're going to go ahead and get the pass by. Fortunately, the pace car is ghosted, so these guys can drive through.
Even if they did pit now to make it, so maybe they're just banking on being able to split that strategy, but gain a bit of track position for the restart. But with how the tires do wear on Pocono, I doubt that they're going to really be able to hold off, and they're just going to end up filtering back. But maybe if there's a restart wreck and they're just a couple of cars ahead, maybe they can be in a better position. But someone who definitely knows a thing about saving tires, Raider, he just held back on the initial restart, just took it easy, especially on corner exit. He didn't slide up the track too much. He just was able to keep a bit of rubber underneath, and it was elevating him through the field very easily. So he's going to try to recreate that, but Redditch is going to be wanting to get back to the lead.
Yeah, and Ted Rekic will be starting right behind him. So, I mean, these guys will have a good set of tires here. and be able to get going. But somebody, Jacob Sirkovich out there on the outside line, that 18 machine, you know, be good to see what he has coming up here as he's rocking the red, white, and blue there for the 4th of July celebration. That just passed, and I hope you all had a great time doing that. Right now, Robert Rader up here in the lead, going to go ahead and get that Geico restart zone. Back under green flag, he goes ahead, makes a great start. Ted Rekich right behind him. Sirkovich taking his time there just a little bit, but kind of hanging back, and that may be his strategy. He's kind of hanging back there a little bit and lead the pile behind him as he follows up in the 3rd position. Looks like Blake Cook in the 4 car, and looks like actually Trevor Earhart actually behind him as well. So kind of a slow pit stop he had earlier, but can't blame him for the spin out and actually retaining back up into the 5th position. But he's going to go ahead and try and make that move and break farther into the top 5 and get up into the 4th. Good slide move there. Can he hold? Looks beautiful. So great job, but right now I'm looking to see what James Loveland has to offer here. As he's kind of working back here, he's broken back into the top 10. So talk about wild turn of events for him with that drive-through penalty he had. Is working his way back up, but boy, he's got a field in front of him with that 48 car of Johnson there. Really, Parker Johnson really kind of jamming him up on that inside line, but maybe those two can work together here kind of and get their way up to the front. But 39 car, I believe, if Scott Negus is not, you know, he's going to jam them up at the same time.
Negus being involved in that initial big wreck, probably still retaining a bit of engine damage, but luckily directly behind Parker Johnson in the 48 also has a lot of front end damage, so Loveland should be able to get past these two fairly easy. But if you're held up for a couple of moments, it can be better off just to take it easy instead of pushing the matter.
Yeah, but who's not taking it easy right now is Ted Rekich. We've seen this before. He puts a lot of pressure on Robert Rader there as he goes ahead and retains the lead. Slides up in front of him during one of Robert Rader's tough turns he has going ahead there. Goes ahead and attacks on the inside edge, takes over, and passes him. So really now back in the lead, Ted Rekich. So how long can he hold on? Because Robert Rader has no problem hanging behind, kind of picking and choosing. Ooh, so you get a little loose. Go ahead and cross him up here on turn 1 and line his back up. His strong turn seems to be turn 2, which when I've raced here at Pocono, and turn 2's my easiest one. Of course, probably because it's only the cross-through turn. But you'll see it kind of bank a little bit, and he'll dive toward the inside and go ahead and finish up that pass. But really, Ted Rekich, makes contact with Robert Rader. Check up. Oh, no. As Robert Rader will now be folded up. I do not know if the bounty is going to count for that, seeing that it has to be clean racing to place in front of him. But Robert Rader's car is bent bad. Wow.
Another driver that did not want to be involved in that, James Loveland. Having had that penalty, dropped back and just got his back onto the lead lap, but being out of position meant that he got involved and got quite a lot of damage as he went into the inside wall.
Oh, no. We'll take a quick little look here and see what exactly happened. Once again here with our 10-4 replay, we're going to go ahead and pop this to our My Michelin Chopper view, one of my favorite views, and we're going to kind of take a peek and see. It was a beautiful cross-up move here by Ted Rekich right there, but man, just needed about 3 or 4 more inches to clear him. And as we get, looks like Robert Rader just, oh man, 18 catches him, 39. Loveland tries to get out of there, but 39 rides down. Yeah, once again, just a no communication thing. These guys got to stop. It looks like the 48 car of Parker Johnson looks like he survived, as we're going to roll it back and see if we can take a ride along with the 48 car inside and see what he has to allow and what happened when he saw it. So really, I'm curious to see what he came about. Here we go, along with Parker Johnson. All right, he's turned up front. Here it comes. Ooh. And he did not come out of that one unscathed. I thought he did, but he did not. And really, you kind of see at the speed he was going, there's nowhere to go. That was kind of it for him. So, really, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of cars on pit, and I think these guys are probably wishing that there was a faster pair here, because I think a lot of these cars will be back out on the track. Looks like Tay McDonald has gone ahead and taken it back to the garage area, so I think he's out for the day. kind of a bummer there, right there at the beginning. But a lot of these cars here kind of are working their way down pit road.
Hopefully, they're just trying to get a couple extra milliliters of fuel, just being able to edge it out just a little bit more. But quick update, Ted Wreckage, for his role in the wreck, has been given an EOL, and more importantly, Robert Rader. I saw how much damage he had, and his car was not tracking straight, so his night will be done.
Wow, yeah, and really, man, he is folded up pretty bad there, and I'm hoping they're gonna hammer it out bad enough. But this is a great break for another driver out there, Grant Thorpe. We talked about him a little bit ago. He worked his way back onto the lead lap, and remember I was saying he only pit on lap 5. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work out for him. This actually works out perfect. He's actually going to be able to get the 4 tires and fuel he needs that these other guys have already gotten, plus fix some more of that damage. Try to straighten out a few more of those panels. I mean, yes, he is missing just about all of the rear bumper and rear spoiler there, but his car was still driving pretty well, as he is right now so far in the 9th position. So he's gonna have his hands full. But right now in the lead is David Stanfield. I like to call it in our 10-4 broadcasting colors. I want to name it permanently until but really the black and neon green is really working out for him. I kind of like what we see there, and we may have to slap our name on the side of that car. But for right now, David Stanfield, Trevor Earhart, after that spin out, retains up in the 2nd position, but it looks like the 54 and the 24 that you see on our screen are laps down. This should be Romney. He should be 2 laps down, and I believe Nick Alves, he is quite a handful down, of about 15. So these guys will probably get a quick little pass through. They'll get around, and these guys are going to go ahead and get lined up and give this thing another shot. As Brandon Richardson is up here in the 3rd position. Really, I like what he's got going on there with his paint scheme. He's got kind of a gravedigger theme going on there.
Having a bit of identity variety, just so if you can spot where your car is on track, it's going to mean that other drivers will also be able to spot you easier. So hopefully that, even though you can say the design doesn't give a competitive advantage, it can mean that if you're in a bright car, you will stand out more. But if you have a car that looks like the wall, which most cars now have, unfortunately, either do, you're going to most likely have a higher chance of being run over.
Absolutely. And, it kind of makes you hate having the white car. But to me, I always liked having the black car just because of the glare. I know racing at Daytona and things like that, the glare off the hood would come through the windshield so bad. I couldn't see actually going into turn 1, and it's kind of blind driving for almost 8 seconds, and really that's not what you want to be doing, especially lining up for that turn. So I found out actually making the hood black would make it easier for me to drive, but some of these other drivers, that doesn't even seem to matter, as we've taken a field of about 19, and I think we only got about 10 left here that have, since the other cars have been butchered and probably, on their way to the scrapyard at this part. At this point, trying to get this thing back under control is Daryl Johnson, our race sponsor here, in the 93 car in the top 5. Looks like, all right, Kevin Orlando back there in the 6th in the 27 machine. Glad to see him. Looks like Ted Wreckage there. But you said he was given an EOL, so we'll kind of keep an eye on him as well when he gets underway here. But right now, Stanfield got to be loving this part right here, up in the lead. So can he maintain composure as he goes ahead, takes that Geico restart zone there, Kynan, and we are off to the races again, back under green flag, and I'm excited. I think these guys will probably clean up their act here, and we'll get some door-to-door racing again.
Stanfield did also pit 6 laps earlier or later. He pitted on lap 14, whilst everyone else behind him pitted on lap 20. So the drivers behind should be able to get past fairly easily. So that's exactly what the 13 is going to be thinking. So no need to push it, especially with Raider and Loveland basically being out of the race. So he's able to just be a little bit more cautious now and just be able to not cause any more incidents.
Yeah, really, our hearts go out to Robert Raider there. Unfortunately, he's not out here on the track, but, Hopefully, Kevin Orlando didn't give him some bad juju there and kind of put him in the pits as well. But you kind of see these drivers, there's so much speed right there coming out of turn 3. Just the G-forces you get just pushing you into that passenger seat, slamming you up into that wall, and you're just turning the wheel trying to keep it out of the wall. As it looks like Trevor Earhart going to go ahead and take another look toward the inside line here. Yep, right there as you see the David Stanfield gets a little loose there, rides up the track, so he's going to have to dial it back. And Trevor Earhart going ahead and pulling away. Second place finisher there at the Watkins Glen last week, and really now he's got to be happy out front as most of his competitors that he races with have kind of been knocked out of this one, kind of.
Yeah, he's going to be thinking about it, but hopefully not thinking about it too much. It's a tricky track. Still a lot can happen. He is up 4 positions from where he qualified, so already he's in a good boat. And with his main rivals either being further in the pack or out of the race, it's going to give him some confidence to maybe get some redemption for his small little mistake at Watkins Glen last week.
Yeah, that's all right. But, hey, one little mistake here, can end up leading you to good things later on in the season. But right now he is up in the lead. Got to be loving these lead laps he's putting on the board. So this will help chop down a lot of Robert Rader's points lead that he has coming into this race. I believe this will knock Robert Rader down, I believe, probably to the 15th place finish. So that's going to be painful. I think he may be sitting there trying to see if he can get out there, if Scott Negus is going to be ahead of him or Logan Romney's going to be ahead of him. But right now those cars are on the track and still alive. Romney, that is. But these guys just trying to keep these cars collected, as it looks like we got another battle back here with Stanfield. Looks like Ted Rekich working his way on the inside, followed up by Darrell Johnson. So kind of noticing that the pit strategy isn't really working for him right now. You wouldn't think 6 laps would make that much of a difference there, Kynan, but obviously it is.
Well, you can say that, it's just an oval, you've only done 6 laps, it's not going to be a lot, but with how much speed you're taking into these corners and how much the car is sliding through the turn, it does add up, especially if you push it very hard early on.
Yeah, really, and this is something here, man. Now I'm really seeing kind of how this race is kind of playing out here. We got Ted Rekich. You said, he ended up with that EOL. Man, really, he's got that car on a rail right now. He's only 7/10 off the lead car, so he can make that up here in a couple of turns. But does he conserve at this point? Does he hang back? But to me, in my opinion here, Kynan, he's got to catch up to Brandon Richardson there in that 29 machine to have that draft available to reel them in, and then I would probably hang back for a little while, let Trevor Earhart do his thing, and try not to burn up my tires so soon.
That's exactly what I'd do. He's been struggling with wearing down his tires far too quickly. Even at Dover, we saw him very strong early on, but just couldn't be there in the end because of burning his tires up. So if he can just get a little bit closer to the 29 in front of him, just be able to use the toe to help drag him along, then just lift up a little bit easier into the turns and just take it easy. Keep some sort of tire in the end, and if we go green, then he will be in a better position to maybe think about challenging for the win.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough go around here. It looks like Scott Negus has gone ahead and he's made it out of pit. Robert Rader's still down there, so his car, you may be right. He may be folded up pretty bad and to the point of no return at this point. But one of his frequent viewers, Sean Lattin, out there in the chat, can't win them all in this sport. No, you cannot. And we were amazed to see his streak make it that long, up to 5. Really, it was just a lot of these guys just getting tangled up when they shouldn't have been. And really, it's almost kind of a runaway here with these top 3 as we kind of see Ted Rekich there getting real loose there out of turn 2. So he's got to be careful. As we can see, he's he doesn't want to lose the leader there. But here comes the dreaded turn 3. So let's see how bad this fade up is here. If the 20, oh man, as the 29, yeah, does a great move and doesn't get into the back of him. So Ted Rekich goes ahead, takes the second position away from Brandon Richardson there, and is trying to track down Trevor Earhart there. But really, Uh, it's just starting to become pretty tough here, Kynan. You know, is Earhart getting ready to run away with this thing?
It's a bit too early to say right now. If Wreckage can just keep his tires together, as I've said multiple times now, if he's able to just be able to save some sort of grip for a bit later on, he might be able to claw him back, but Earhart has to just be careful with how much he is sliding around. Right now he's able to carry speed, but last lap alone he was slower than Wreckage, so Wreckage is starting to make some gains, but you gotta think about the long run with this.
Right, and what is the cost as we kind of take a look back here at David Stanfield back here in the 5th position. So even with that tire fall off, he does retain a top 5 position. Let's see how Kevin Orlando's doing. He's still back here in the 7th position, but man, you see his car is just getting a little weird there as we are under a caution right now. And we are going to take a look, kind and see if you can see what exactly happened around there and which car it was, and I'll see if we can kind of tag team and find out who and what happened here.
The 13th position, car 54 and the 12. 12 just came into turn 3 a little bit higher than the 54 maybe expected, thinking there was a bit more space, got on the grass, and the 12 just closed the gap and they made contact.
Alrighty. Don't get ahead of me too far there, bud. As I got this reeled in, looks like Logan Romney in that 54. Like you were saying, I believe, is that Justice Murphy again. Unfortunately, got tied up in that. As we're going to go ahead and let's take a look and see what happened here. Let's get going. 54 makes that little jerk there. Oh, hits the grass. Oh, 54 hits the grass, and boy, yeah, that may be the end of 54's night with Logan Romney. And another thing I noticed, do you see how 54 kind of doesn't really lock him down after the collision? You kind of see him swing into the infield and then swing back up the track. And as another racer, that's kind of a no-no. You know, you don't want to come back onto the track. The key is if you do get in a wreck or something, stay off the surface. If I clip the wall, I may have a chance of fixing it, but coming back up and then getting broadsided, that is just that's not good. That's not going to be great to see that happen later on. As we're going to take another peek here at what happened here, as the 54 right there in the grass kind of clips him. Yeah, and kind of right here he needs to kind of lock up the brakes and stay in one area. But this right here, boy, yeah, that's not good, because it just looks like Loveland goes in and slides past him, and you know he's he can't be enjoying that. You know, coming up on something like that where somebody's sliding back up the track, because you know you kind of set your line of where you want to be, and then somebody slides back up. So I will actually, let's go ahead and put that in perspective. And I will go ahead and show you guys what Loveland sees as they're going around. You see the smoke. And look, here he comes back up the track. So look out, you know. And that may not have been where you wanted to be. You may have been fading up the track as normal. And here he comes. So, yeah, really, he's got to kind of just lock it down, man. Just it's play it safe. Don't get these guys folded up and in a whole bunch of trouble. But it looks like these guys are going to go ahead. Great time to come down pit and get these things under control, and you know get a fresh set of tires on here, as we are 31 laps into this race out of 50, Kynan. And really, this is not the turnout I expected here tonight.
It's difficult to figure out who can really win this race now. With so many of the favorites, Loveland and Raider, dropping out, and then a lot of other fast cars that maybe could have been able to capitalize also picking up damage, it's just blown the possibility to who can win has really gone out the window. The 29 up 12 positions from where he started. The 83 up 16 positions from where he started. The only person that has not really gained much is the 13 of Trevor Earhart, only up 3. Whilst the 4 and 31, 6 and 9, respectively. Where you started doesn't depict where you're going to finish. So, like I said early on when I was mentioning how even if you got a bad qualifying and you're in the back, doesn't mean your race is over, as something bad can happen to the drivers in front. And if you can just keep your car clean, it will put you in a much better position to be able to fight for the win.
Yeah, really, a lot of these drivers out here, they got to be like in some of these cautions as long as you're not involved. James Loveland here, we're kind of taking a peek at a little extended time here. I was looking to see if he's fixing a lot of damage, getting his vehicle squared away. Looks like Grant Thorpe, he went ahead and brought his vehicle in, and he's trying to get it, squared away and a lot more in one piece, which I think that'll put Loveland in a better position to get this thing lined up and maybe give it another go, as he is only in the 7th position right now, getting going here. But, like I said, he was fortunate to get through that last wreck there. But, these guys just, you got to be careful. But right now, Brandon Richardson, Trevor Earhart, Daryl Johnson, Blake Cook, and David Stanfield round out your top 5. And I believe everybody behind them has a significant amount of damage. A significant amount of damage. James Orlando, James Loveland, Grant Thorpe. We know these guys have been folded up more than once, so it's going to be hurt pretty bad here as we're taking a look here at Kevin Orlando there. Once again, that rear bumper folded up there pretty bad. Let's take a look at that 10-4 right front suspension. Yep, little bend up there. Let's see if we can rotate that thing backwards. Yeah, and a little contact with the wall there. And you're going to see that that aerodynamic where the Racing Revolution logo is that's going to cause a lot of aerodynamic problems for that right rear of that car. So, Kevin Orlando's not out of it. I'm glad to see he is in 6th place after the first misplacement of vehicles, so to speak, for these guys to end up in. But really, I mean, look at this. You've got the top 6, and the rest of these guys are racing around the track trying to get lined back up. James Loveland's still 23 seconds off the back bumper of these guys, and he's got to catch up here. It looks like we're only at turn 2, so they should have plenty of time. Grant Thorpe, Jacob Sirkovich, those guys working their way around the track, trying to get this thing back under control. But really, man, just a bummer here. As it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, that is Robert Rader is back on the track. So it looks like him and Nick Alves have been able to get their car back in one piece and keep it alive. Robert Rader will be placing pretty low. Adam Bowden will be the closest racer he has, as those two will battle out for the 13th and 14th position, 10 laps down, and Nick Alves will be 14 laps down, and really kind of have to give this thing a go. But right now, pace car off. Brandon Richardson just in time gets taken off there. But right now, Trevor Earhart got a great launch off that as well, taking that outside line. And man, really, what a battle these guys have been having up here in the front with Trevor Earhart, Brandon Richardson, and Daryl Johnson.
Daryl Johnson up 16 positions from where he originally started. He's going to be very happy to be up here. And someone else who's going to be fairly happy is Robert Rader. Yes, he's had a lot of bad luck with getting spun by Wreckage earlier on, but Wreckage is pulled it into the pit and he is out of the race. So don't know what's going on there, but right now the 00 is no longer on track. So as long as Rader now finishes, he will finish ahead.
Man, I know from where I am, we've got a pretty bad storm system coming through, but we are still able to bring you the race here tonight, and that may be what Wreckage has gone through, is it kind of had a disconnect there and got it going. But we have 17 laps to go of this race here at the Tricky Triangle up in the Pocono Mountains. So really, you see this unfortunate large mashup we had. Then we had a second one, and Stellar Stella says, taking them out in bunches. Yeah, unfortunately, and like I said, I think some of it is also spotter miscommunication, kind of asking people, check up, you got to stop, but, you live, you learn, I guess. Some of these guys' nights ended a little earlier than they wanted to, but, yeah, but right now, these guys have been able to get around the track so far and get a lot of things done, but, I'd like to see a lot more of those Chapman Environmental Services cars up front here in the top 5, but tonight is not their night. But would like to give Chapman Environmental Services a shout out here, proudly offering a broad spectrum regulatory compliance, permitting, field sampling services, and more. Don't forget to visit ChapmanES.com. So really, what a blast this is for some of these other guys, but really what is a blast. Butt kicker. Well, I mentioned them earlier here in the race. Something you've got to get. They make great audio systems, things for your rig, and different ways to go different kind of subwoofers and things like that. Check them out. Some people say they're a little expensive. I don't think so. Not especially for the quality that you do get. And something else that we get a lot of quality out of, admin box. One of these things that you're able to kind of wave these guys through. We saw Nick Alf slide through pit road. I thought they may wave his black flag, but I think he had more damage to deal with than just the black flag he slid through there, getting up into into that wreck that we had before, which was really unfortunate. But admin box is another thing to get, be able to throw out stage cautions and things like that. And it's just really, I think we were supposed to have a competition caution, I believe, at lap 15. But there were a few cautions in between, so I think they race control went ahead and nixed that. But regardless, either way, Trevor Earhart going ahead and pulling away, by doing a fantastic job up in front of Brandon Richardson by almost a second now. So he's got this thing on a rail with 15 to go. Kynan, do you think we may have to pit one more time before the end?
To be honest, I'm not too certain on if gonna need a pit. If there's another caution, then I'd say the drivers are going to pit for tires, but besides that, I don't believe they may need to pit for fuel. But I'm not 100% certain, so some drivers may need to, just because being a bit too aggressive on the acceleration and just burning more fuel, and with being under caution, if they use, say, crew chief and have it so it automatically selects how much fuel you put in the car, it means that if you do a lot of under caution, it can corrupt the evidence, so then you can't, or you underfuel the car, so it tries to read how much fuel you're burning with cautions compared to if you're just under green. So you may see some drivers maybe having some issues, as the 18 I'm hearing on radio has just blown up, so disappointment for him, but fuel may be a bit of a factor, but we'll have to see.
Yep, as we're taking a look there at the 18, Jacob Sirkovich right there has got a lot of smoke coming out of the back of that car. So hopefully it doesn't lay oil on the track. Maybe it's just a blown head gasket or something. That'll probably be his night. Right now it shows him in the 8th position. If Grant Thorpe passes him, he will then dial back to the 9th position. But that will require a few of these other drivers to stay out and retain the field. So that looks like it may be it for Jacob Sirkovich. There's no way to replace a blown engine, so he will be taking that back to the garage, and hopefully we will see him next week at Talladega. I know Talladega is normally a huge turnout for a lot of these drivers, but right now someone who is turning out is Daryl Johnson. Just made a great move on Brandon Richardson there as we kind of pulled up looking at David Stanfield there. Daryl Johnson moved up into the 2nd position, so oh, boy. Did you see him get loose there? Right there on the back end of that thing. So turn 3 seems to be very difficult for all these drivers out here tonight.
Yeah, you said it earlier. Turn 3 being basically a completely flat corner, it's going to cause issues. So I'm more worried about how much are they burning their tires when they do that slide. Yeah, it may be fine doing it once, but if you do it over and over again, then you'll start to feel the issues.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any kind of an adjustment you can do for that. I've heard maybe a slight rear track arm bar or maybe a right front camber to help with the sliding. That way, it kind of flattens the tire out. But really, that does take a toll on your other turns, and that's what we've been talking about before is, these engineers and crew chiefs, they just trying to set up the car. It's one of those, I can promise to make you fast in 2 turns, but not the 3rd one. I can make you fast in turn 3, but I can't make you fast in turn 1. And it's just trying to find that balance of all 3, or just go ahead and cut your losses. And I'll take a fast turn 1, an okay turn 2, and a dismal turn 3, and be able to win this race.
So bit of a headache when you try to think, where do you want to make your sacrifices? Because you're not going to win everywhere, especially on a track with so much corner diversity as Pocono, so you're gonna have to make some sort of sacrifice. So maybe some drivers are going to just want to go for an all-round. You don't excel in one corner or the other, but you're good in all of them.
Yeah, and really, who just made a sacrifice right there? We're taking a look at Kevin Orlando back here in the 7th position. Just got overtaken by James Loveland there. Nice to see him working back up, but he's still got a long way to go to catch Blake Cook there up in the 5th position. as we are coming down with 11 laps left to go. This one is about to wrap up here, and really, we all kind of rally capped. It was looking like Robert Rader might have his 6th one, but unfortunately, just too many incidents there, and then just things just unfolded for him, and he wasn't able to recover.
Sometimes, no matter wherever you are on track, you're not 100% safe. Even if you don't make a mistake yourself, you have to also rely on other drivers around you not to make a mistake as well. It's unfortunate, but luckily, winning the past 5 races of the season, he's going to have a very nice points tally and advantage even after tonight. Luckily, Earhart currently 2nd in points, bit of a points gap away from the lead, but if he can hold out and be able to win tonight, that should be able to help give him a little bit more of a chance to run for the championship.
Yeah, Robert Rader going ahead and staying out there and turning these laps. I said he would probably be in the 15th position, and yes, he is 10 laps down, but is up into the 12th position. So he's going to go ahead and be able to turn some more laps, get that Chapman Environmental Services car up into the pack, but the more spots he gains, the more he's able to not lose as many points in that point running, as we can see there. But really, man, you just got to be thinking like Kevin Jones or Kevin Orlando here is really what he could have done in turn 3, and I just don't think there was much he could have done, and how different this race would have been if those two drivers would have been able to kind of keep their fenders off each other. But this track does pose a lot of problems. But right now, we're going to rotate up here to Brandon Richardson, who saw plenty of those problems, but was able to weave through a lot of those, and he is up in the 3rd position, about 3 seconds off the lead. Trevor Earhart has got to be loving what he's getting, all that fresh air up front with 8 to go. So these guys are really having to put it down here. I mean, I think that this might just be a runaway for Earhart in that 13 machine.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, but who knows? If we get a late caution, maybe with 3 or even 5 to go, it can mix everything up. It's not guaranteed until you get that white flag and come around the final corner and cross the line. I mean, looking back to last year, I believe it was, when the Real Life Cup Series was here, and Kyle Larson thought he was going to win, but just blew that tire on the final lap, and it cost him. So it's not over until you get that checkered flag and your crew chief comes over and says you win.
Yeah, really. Now I know these guys are just waiting for that checkered flag to come out, because this has been quite a brutal race here. Not as long as we had thought, but I mean, I'm glad it was only 50 laps. This field did kind of get strung out and totaled out, really. But I think if the Racing Revolution may have considered a faster pair on this one, we'd have a lot more drivers giving it a second chance here, because I'm sure Kevin Orlando and Robert Rader would like to give this thing another shot, or even James Loveland, who is up here in the 6th position. I guarantee you he would like to go ahead and get another shot at this thing. But he is 15 seconds off that leader. So really, these guys are having to give it a good push here to get to the final end of the lap. It looks like Trevor Earhart is going to go ahead and try to keep this thing out there. I was concerned him not being in any of the draft if fuel was going to be an issue. Obviously, tires are not going to be that much of an issue for him. 2.5-second lead at this point, and he's got this thing under control here, kind of.
Yeah, he certainly has. Last lap was a 56.359, whilst Darrell Johnson in the 93 ran a 56.858. So he is pulling away, but just for a quick comparison, Loveland was the fastest car in practice and got pole position, but right now he's running about 1.5 seconds slower than the leader of 13, Earhart. So just having that damage is making a massive difference, but Earhart having that clean air and a clean car, it's working wonders for him.
Yeah, really, and that's what Robert Rader's been saying almost all, a lot of his races, is it seems to be the key of that fresh air out front. I am not much for when I race being out in the lead. That fresh air seems to kind of trip me up. I get going around there, and I don't know what it is. It's like the front end kind of dives down, and I all of a sudden lose control of the rear of the car, And, unfortunately, I get maybe 1 or 2 lead laps, and, I get spun out. And I just don't know how some of these guys are able to maintain so much, as it looks like Brandon Richardson, we may have just missed that. The quick pass there to Daryl Johnson. We're going to kind of keep an eye on these guys and see if there's going to be any fight left out of Daryl Johnson there, to see if they can get a push. But these guys here in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position, Brandon Richardson, Daryl Johnson, and David Stanfield, together. Really, I'm waiting to see if David Stanfield's going to try to push this thing to get him a podium position, but he is, whoa, as they are running out of time. Looks like Daryl Johnson had the line there, but Brandon Richardson kind of cut him off. So, really, any sort of checkups here, Kynan, is going to be detrimental to the final of this race with only 4 to go.
Yeah, with such a small amount of time left, if you make a mistake now, it's all but over. So you just need if you do have the pace advantage, you want to get it done, but you don't want to cause a wreck. If you cause a wreck and get involved yourself, then you've ruined not only your own race, but the person that you wrecked, and maybe even someone who else gets involved. But either way, the 29, 93, and 31, having gained at least a minimum of 10 positions from the 31, 16 by the 93, and 11 from the 29. They were way in the back, but have just been able to keep their cars relatively clean, especially compared to everyone else. So even if Stanford can't get onto the podium, he's probably going to be very happy with that result still.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see how some of these guys kind of wrap it up here. I'm looking to see, we've only got 3 to go here, and I'm looking to see if anybody's got any little fight. Will we have a late caution here, where, somebody might throw on a quick set of tires, seeing that they probably only have 1 set left, and see if they can get anything to happen.
Daryl Johnson seems to be trying everything just to get as much time on corner entry, but he's just overdriving the corner, which means he's just dropping back in the mid to corner exit. So he's trying everything he can, but as long as Richardson doesn't make a mistake, I'd say he's got second. So, but what Daryl Johnson is going to have to be careful of is David Stanfield behind him. If he's able to get back up and maybe apply pressure, might be able to make an overtake and lap traffic as the 24 does peel out of the way of the 93. Bit of a sketchy pull out of the way, but no foul, no harm, so was able to keep it clean. 93 closing right up to the 29. Maybe the 29 is struggling with fuel a little bit, so it's not over just yet.
But that may have worked out a little bit there for Daryl Johnson, looking like he may have used Nick Alves there for a little bit of that draft down the front stretch, which he needed dearly to get, to kind of catch up, and he gave it another shot there for turn 1. But we have 2 to go, and I think this may be all but over. I don't know if these guys are going to, kind of hold it to the floor and hope the tires hold. I mean, they've been out there since lap 31. So they're definitely feeling the pressure. This is the longest run yet, as you see Brandon Richardson kind of trying to hang out in front of Daryl Johnson. But really, these guys, this is the battle right here as he goes ahead and separates to the inside. And we see that a lot in the IndyCar moves. Oh, no, as Daryl Johnson eats the wall. Oh, no. So that damage, massive damage right there for Daryl Johnson there. That may have done it for him, and that may let David Stanfield slide up into a podium position as we see these two battling it out right here as they are going to go ahead and stick to it. Oh, is David Stanfield going to door him? Ride him up high into that turn, dive into turn 2 here. Can he fade up the track, or does he triangulate that turn? Daryl Johnson switches him up. Holy cow, Kynan, this is getting down to the wires. We come into turn 3, 93. Looking to the inside. Are we about to have a Robert Rader, Kevin Orlando move here? Nice and easy. David Stanfield taking that outside. Oh, man, it bites the grass, so that might have just done it for him. As we are coming up on the finish of the race. And Daryl Johnson obtained third. So Trevor Earhart, I know we didn't spend a whole lot of time on him, but with a 4-second lead, I don't think there was much of a battle for Brandon Richardson, who was in the second position. Who was trying, but so far behind, and Daryl Johnson was able to hold off David Stanfield for that last shootout there for the 4th position. Blake Cook in the 5th. Looks like James Loveland, he ended up in the 6th. Looks like Kevin Orlando, 7th. Grant Thorpe, 8th. Scott Negus, 9th. And Robert Rader worked his way, you wouldn't believe this kind of, worked his way all the way back up to the 10th position.
That just proves that you should never give up, even if it feels like the car is completely done. Maybe if you can just gain a couple more positions right at the end of the race with people dropping out, those couple points could become crucial. Hell, I lost the championship by 1 point, so every little point can matter.
Yes, and you were definitely right about that. As we gonna, man, we gotta rope these guys in and have a little chat with some of them and figure out, how could they hold out for so long? Right there, definitely toward the end, as it looks like Daryl Johnson, these guys are getting ready to line themselves up for a quick picture there, and we'll kind of pop you back to that so you can kind of see everybody kind of lining up here, kind of enjoying their time. Trevor Earhart burning them down, man. And he definitely deserves that win here tonight, as he did a fantastic job staying out front. But we will get a hold of these guys and try to get them down into the booth. Let's see, Richardson. In the 2nd, really, and who else do we have? Negus, Bob Rader. Looks like Johnson. Man, and Kynan, I think I'm going to let you catch up with one of our race winners here today. And I'm going to let you catch up with the gentleman in 3rd place. Let's see. And I believe we have Daryl Johnson. Daryl Johnson, you got a copy? Oh, don't get shy on me now.
Johnson, do you have a copy?
I hear you.
There he is.
What an eventful night tonight. From your perspective, being right in the back, you've managed to gain 16 positions from where you started. What did you see on that first initial big wreck that took out 11 cars?
I was just trying to get through without hitting cars, and somehow I managed that. There was a gap that opened, and I was lucky enough to make it through that without any damage.
Well, you were able to keep your car relatively clean. Towards the end, though, on that final lap, the 29 was just weaving, trying to break the draft, and then you just got into the wall. Did that really cause any damage, or was it just the loss of momentum which allowed the 31 to get underneath you?
It was certainly a loss of momentum. I was just trying to follow him, trying to catch a little draft, maybe get a chance for second. First was gone, but just trying to do the best I could there. But the 29 was faster than I tonight, so just did my best. Had fun though.
And when you did end up getting past, we saw you looking to the inside, and it ultimately did end up working. But was there ever a point that you felt that the tires weren't going to really hold and the 31 was going to cut back underneath you?
I wondered if he was going to do a crossover move. I had run that line quite a bit tonight, kind of going in low. So I felt comfortable that the car was going to stick. But he was getting a better run off both the 29 and the car behind me there. The 31 was getting a better run off of turn 3 than I was, because they were running that higher arc. So I was a little worried that he was going to beat me back to the line, but I felt like I could get under him and, race back to the line.
Well, with that, you were able to get a podium, and because of how we do things here, since you were able to get into the podium, do you have any shout-outs to anyone who have been able to help you get out and race tonight?
Rob and Kevin and Nick, all of those guys have been great. We race in another league, and they bumped me over here. And
Look like you're new. You look like a veteran, so good work out there tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty, and that was Daryl Johnson. Really, that guy, he seems to be calm, cool, and collected, all the time, being able to keep his car out front. I would like to see, he did have a car that says IamSecond.com on his car, but he unfortunately placed third. But it's not unfortunate placing third, getting out there up front the way he did. But Brandon Richardson, Brandon Richardson did start a lot farther in the back than a lot of these drivers up here in the front, but still managed to get through the wrecks and out front. Brandon Richardson, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, what a run you had in that 29 machine here tonight. Kind of really, I mean, we're going to bring it up with most of the drivers out here, and really, that first wreck, I mean, really, what was your mindset of, there's smoke, there's cars everywhere, how do I get my way through this?
Yeah, it was basically panic mode. I just thought of Days of Thunder, just like drive through the smoke or whatever. And it's kind of like the seas just parted for me, and I was able to get through it, luckily.
Yeah, we took a look at your voodoo machine out there. I kind of like that paint job. It kind of had, to me, I said earlier, it had that Gravedigger feel. That neon green and the purple going on. But really, I was excited to see how you were able to make it through all the adversity between all these cars. With Earhart up there, you had wreckage with being able to give it a run. Robert Rader, yet you were able to maintain composure and stay up front and really be able to place a second position. Is there anything you could have changed to keep Trevor Earhart closer than you did tonight?
I mean, I would like to say yeah, but really I felt like I gave it all I could. I mean, I actually started downshifting in the turns towards the end there. Maybe I could have done that sooner, but in the end he was super quick. So I was lucky to hold on to second there, and I kind of I swerved, kind of breaking the draft with the last lap or so, and then the 93 hit the wall, and I kind of got lucky there, and I got second. So.
Yeah, it looked like he followed your draft and it just loosened him up just enough. I was saying that looked like an IndyCar move. You kind of moved that inside and break the draft. But him trying to follow you, it drug him up the track, and he did bite that wall. And it was unfortunate for him, but fortunate for you being able to get that separation, keep that fresh air, and him off that rear bumper.
Yeah, of course. And then I have my SER teammate, David, right behind the 93, and I was like, if you could catch him, that would be great so he can get off of my butt, But it all worked out in the end, so it was cool.
He definitely gave it a run, but really there, turn 3, he kind of bit a little bit out of that grass on the inside there of Darrell trying to cut him off and shut him down, but it just couldn't get there and didn't have enough time to get through. But still, regardless, really a great job by you tonight. And is there anything, that you think you can do to win at next week's race, which is at Talladega?
Honestly, that one's just kind of like luck of the draw. I mean, some people are like, hey, you want to be up front the whole time, be in the back so you have more time to dodge stuff. But I mean, I'm going to try to qualify up front and stay up front and see how that goes. Because I think, people in the back or the middle tend to wreck more than the front guys do. So hopefully I can play the lottery or something and hit it right next week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely agree with that. I spend most of my practice time at Talladega trying to find a friend. Somebody who I notice who doesn't push you around the turns bumper to bumper and looking to put you in the wall. Somebody who, knows to kind of get that half a car length off and then back on the straightaway, push as hard as you can. And that's kind of who you're looking for. But really, Brandon Richardson, fantastic job tonight, and we hope to see you next week. Do you want to get man, what am I doing? We talked about your voodoo paint job. Go ahead and give me some shout-outs here, bud.
Yeah, basically John Mustaine Jr., he does all of my paint schemes. He was Ragin' Cajun Graphics, and now he's Voodoo Graphics and Designs. Super nice guy. He's actually my sponsor. So I have him on all of the new cars that we're rolling out here, and he's a really good guy. And then, of course, my dad, Tony Richardson, and then my teammate, David. So that's it. And then the guys that run this league. This is only my second race with this league, and nothing but the best group of guys. I mean, it's amazing. So I'll be glad to do races coming up, and then hopefully the season's continuing, and of course see you guys up in the booth.
All right, bud, and we hope to see you next week at Talladega. I'm excited to see what you put down tonight and what you have there. Like you said, it's a crapshoot, so you can place last and still win it. So hope to see you next week, bud.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and that's Brandon Richardson. What an awesome dude. What an awesome dude. But we are going to go to a quick commercial here, and I will get our race leader down here in just a moment. Alrighty, and we are getting live here with Trevor Earhart. Man, you came out, you were able to make it out of this one, and out front, I really wasn't sure with the spin out. You missed the wall by probably 2 or 3 feet when you slid to the inside. I mean, how bad did you pucker? And is there any part of your seat that doesn't have a dent at this point?
No, there's not. I had a 4-leaf clover with me, and I think I used 3 of those 4 leaves tonight. I mean, that contact coming out of 2, man, I downshifted to third or second and just planted my foot in it to get it to be somewhat straight, and just locked the brakes and prayed that it didn't hit the inside wall. And it looked a whole lot closer in the cockpit than it did. I went back and looked at it on replay than it did on the replay. But man, that was a little frightening for sure that early in the race.
Yeah, and definitely it was sickening. I had to give it the Michelin chopper view and watch you kind of lock it down. Oh, and he just barely missed the wall. I mean, it was so close. But really, you were able to get out in front. I mean, you saw Robert Rader up there. You had Ted Rekich up front. You had Loveland up front. You had Kevin Orlando, and yet you were the sole survivor out of those top 5 that were out there. I mean, did you think this is where you were going to be after the second place finish at the Glen?
I had felt pretty good coming into this race. I usually run fairly well. I know Loveland's fast. Obviously, Rob's dominated the season so far, so I knew he was going to be one to watch out for. So I expected to be racing with those guys. And, Pocono's weird. You either have really clean races or it just weird things happen. And tonight was one of those races where just weird things happened, and we got lucky and stayed out of it, and were able to stay out of trouble for the rest of the night and bring it home in P1.
Yeah, man, really awesome job. I mean, I like how you last week you came in second, and this time you finally got your redemption. We were able to put it in victory lane here, getting this 13 car in the winner's circle. I mean, just you got to have that sigh of relief. Getting, all right, there's one under my belt. There's one against Robert Rader, although he did place 10th. This is now your step up. But the following week, we now have Talladega. It's roll the dice. Have you placed well there before? How do you have a couple guys you're looking to draft with going into next week?
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking to work with my teammates, James Loveland, Parker Johnson, and Ray Lane, if he's able to make it next week. Parker, and Loveland tend to run really well at the super speedways together. But I mean, it's a super speedway. You never know what's going to happen, especially with having. I think we might have a competition caution next week again. But I mean, you just never know what's going to happen there. All it takes is one wrong bump or one wrong block, and you could go from being first, second, or third to all the way back in the back. So the plan is just to stay out of trouble for as long as we can next week, and try to be there at the end, because that's all you can hope for, is just to have a shot at the end of that race. So we'll see how next week plays out.
Yeah, and really, I'd like to see you getting up front, but man, that race, you can be a nobody, you can be somebody who's never raced, and it's your first race and you win. So it's gonna be difficult, and really, I think if you can get lined up with Ray Lane, I think you're gonna have a good shot, because I know he's from what I saw him out at Dover for the short time he was there, and what he was able to do at Charlotte. Is really, I think you got a good chance lining up with him. But regardless, tonight is your night. Go ahead and give us some shout-outs from some of those sponsors that you had watching you tonight.
First off, shout out to you guys at 10-4 for doing the broadcast and doing an amazing job at it. We appreciate you being on board with us. Oh, yeah. Shout out to all the league sponsors and all the admins and everybody in the league for the racing. I know today wasn't a particularly great showing of what we can produce, but I mean, the rest of the season has been great so far, racing with everybody. Shout out to the Earhart group for helping out with the program. I know they weren't on the car this week, but they were a big supporter last week, and they're a big supporter of my online racing, so huge shout out to them. And shout out to Black Rifle Coffee. It's one of my favorite coffees. They're on the car. I love it. I wish it was a true sponsorship. Maybe one day, who knows? But great coffee. If you've never had it, I recommend trying it. So, and then of course, shout out to all my friends and family that are watching the broadcast every week. Shout out to those guys, and hopefully they enjoyed tonight's race.
Oh yeah, and I agree. I've had Black Rifle coffee. I enjoy it as well. But after this race, I don't think that's what you're going to be drinking. But at this point, we will let you go celebrate and enjoy your win there, bud.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
All right, take it easy. Man, and really, Trevor Earhart there, as we get ready to wrap this one up here, Kynan, what a fantastic race. We appreciate all of the viewers out there. Stella, not a problem. We enjoy bringing you another great night of racing. Don't forget, we are going to have next Wednesday. Keep in mind, we're doing it for Dale. 212 at Talladega. I know it seems a little bit of a long run. It'll be another over 2 mile track, but that is a fast track. That is going to be over 200 miles an hour. I'm sure we will have a huge turnout. That is a big track that everyone enjoys driving. Cars can mostly handle very well and keep these cars together, but there is always the big one, and that's what they call it there at the Alabama Mile at Talladega. So join us next week on Wednesday. Really, I couldn't say much more about this race here at Pocono. It was a great run. I love seeing these guys. Shout out to Admin Box, Chapman Environmental Services, Butt Kicker out there for supporting the Racing Revolution League. From your broadcaster here, Patrick Morrison, Kynan Jones, we hope to see you all next week, and thank you for joining us.